It's time for another drawing in the dark. This week is Swamp Thing. This is a personal favorite of mine. So I start this one as I normally do, a few lines to indicate area and start figuring out where I want the figure. I'm going to work out the upper body here. I want him to look muscled but also heavy, like he's got a lot of weight he has to carry. I work out a basic but expressive hand here, like I was thinking like there was something ahead of him that he's kind of responding to, but not like in an aggressive kind of way. I do add this branch here. I really thought that this was a good choice compositionally, and it kind of lets me hide his crotch and other elements and stuff where I can shadow it out without being obvious about it. And so, and I also think that it puts him like inside the swamp. So I'm working out his face using the Rodgon method. And if you haven't heard of him, check him out online. Just search for Rodgon, you'll find him. It actually works particularly great for the Swamp Thing because of his signature features and stuff and that weird kind of like jowl vegetation matter and stuff that's kind of coming down the sides off his nose and stuff. After studying Swamp Thing, though, and doing the various treatments like I did for my Patreon video, you can see the sketches here on the left, I felt that the roots and vines look was a lot better than like the barky kind of look of like Groot, The mangrove tree, this mangrove tree and these other elements were a lot easier this time than when I did them at the Creature of the Black Lagoon piece. But I'm also looking forward to moving on from drawing these. Just imagine drawing the Swamp Thing comic and having to draw so many like swamp environments and stuff is just too much. I don't think that's the kind of comic I'd really want to be working on with all those kind of like swamp elements and stuff. One of the best ways to add dimensionality to fingers, oddly enough, is to put the fingernails on them. And it took me a while to actually fully figure that out, I guess. But without these nails, it's so hard to express that fingertip, which really gives you a lot of the dimensionality to like how the hand is formed and stuff. So this being the last page in the sketchbook, the page is kind of bouncy and stuff, and I feel that I find myself having to hold the paper down. And particularly since tattooing and stuff, my left hand has gotten a lot more involved with my drawing. I now have this like instinct to stabilize and stretch the area while I'm working and stuff. So you will see, if you notice, my left hand tends to be a little bit more involved holding the paper down or moving up closer to where I'm drawing and stuff. And a lot of that actually comes from 20 some years of tattooing now. I did want him to look more serious in this piece, but not necessarily aggressive. I didn't want him to seem furious or like he's about ready to attack anybody, but almost like he just found somebody in the swamp that shouldn't be there. I did want to have some elements fit behind him, but thinking of how much detail was going to be in the figure itself, I really did decide to keep most of the area immediately behind him, just kind of blank, that way I could build up some contrast and stuff. And then so the solution to that was really just kind of like framing the piece and suggesting this kind of swamp jungle detail around him, rather than just like putting in a full background and stuff like I did with the Creature of the Black Lagoon. That stuff took forever. Yeah, so I finally got to the point here where, the layout's established enough. I really need to work out some of these light and dark areas. I need to work out and add in some contrast and stuff in here. And so I often start in the most obvious areas to shade, really, and then work my way out from there. Just so that way, as I build this up, I'm not unintentionally shading an area darker than I would like it to be. So I just kind of try to move as strategically as I can through all of that. So for this piece, I really didn't want to worry too much about the camera and the presentation, but just draw and follow my instincts on this one. And it was a nice process. I've been working on so many individual projects that it actually took me a while to get to this piece and get it ready in time. I mean, obviously, it's not going out as I intended and scheduled and stuff. I mean, that's just kind of where we are with it right now. But with all my excitement for the channel and wanting to do more and better, I naturally overloaded myself as soon as I could. And, as soon as I could manage a basic schedule, I just, had to dump more ideas onto it. So I'm trying to draw 2 videos a week, 2 drawing videos a week. I'm working on a Patreon exclusive video, and then this Drawing in the Dark series turns out to be like 4 videos a week. And while I look after my dad, clearly there's just no way I could do this with a regular job, especially. It's only with the time that I've had here in Montana and stuff, looking after my dad, that I've had the time to do it at this level. But I might as well, I guess, and try to build this stuff up here before I do go home. And most likely, I'm only going to be able to do like 2 videos a week, as a more like long-term kind of process and stuff. That's for sure. I do really like how this one turned out, though. I feel that it was really well drawn and composed. And honestly, I've been impressed with myself with a lot of these sketchbook pieces in particular. The pieces that I've drawn for the videos and stuff have mostly gone well. And I feel that really my skills increased as I worked through these drawings and stuff, especially with just the ballpoint pen. And in particular, there's this grit that my work used to have for a long time, like before and around high school or art school and stuff, and I really feel like I had lost it for a long time. Like it kind of got refined out of me. And going back to this pen and drawing in these kinds of ways, it really feels like I've like rediscovered that grit, but yet in a more intentional kind of way. I don't know, but I do really appreciate seeing it and stuff, and I really actually have been generally more pleased with how my drawings have been turning out lately. And as an artist, we always hate what we do. It's just part of the game. One challenge here with the Swamp Thing, though, is his physiology. You should be able to see the structure of his human form, but having so much of this vegetation and everything as part of his look, I really didn't want it to conform to his body too much, to the musculature and to what you would normally expect to see, like, in his physiology. Mostly to avoid it from becoming too much like a costume. So I didn't put too many like wood panels, bark kind of elements and stuff into them. Really just kept it mostly to like those roots and everything. And of course, I build up all these elements and stuff as I go. I don't want to talk through this whole damn thing, so let's just take a minute and enjoy my engaging background music. One compliment I do tend to get with these pen drawings has been my cross hatching. And these dash lines that come from like 90s comics where they just cross hatch the shit out of everything. You combine that with my general disinterest of wanting to create like blended gradations with this pen, which is totally possible but takes a huge amount of time and patience. And I've got some patience, but I don't have that much patience, honestly. And the cross hatching is fine. I do like the grit. And then I guess if you do something long enough, I've been cross hatching, for most of my drawing life. You tend to get better at it, if necessarily not more skilled. You still can't get worse. You still can't get worse with practice, but it doesn't always guarantee progress if it isn't the right kind of practice. So I did actually end up losing some progress on this piece when I was recording it, or when I was transferring files from my phone to the tablet. A couple of the files got corrupted. I was actually able to get one recopied again and salvage it, but the other one was totally fried and I lost that clip. And it was just the beginning of some of the shading in the face and stuff, which is a bummer, one of the most interesting kind of segments of the piece. I have been, shooting the video of these drawings with my phone. I've been using this new Blackmagic camera app, which has helped a lot, especially with like focusing and stuff. A cheap and very short ring light. Generally can't record for longer than like 20 minutes per clip. That way my videos are easier to like transfer and stuff from the phone onto my tablet, at least theoretically. And then I transfer those to my Surface Pro 6 tablet. I collect and edit them in CapCut, at least right now. I do a basic edit from that, and then from there I build a script watching that edit. And then I go and record the voiceover here in my dad's bathroom. Which happens to be the quietest place in the house, even if you are still hearing some background noise and stuff from the TV and whatnot. But then I add all that audio, then I take that audio and I add it into the edit, and then I have to adjust things from there. I have to adjust the video to the audio. I've got to cut out all the ums and ahs and swallows and all that stuff. And then bam, magically the video appears on YouTube. And that's how it works, guys. I really have been trying to improve this process, refine it, work out some of the bugs, deal with, the shortcomings and the circumstances that I'm facing and stuff with making these. One of the things I've been doing is I've been watching a lot of these like how to make videos on YouTube videos. I've seen enough of those now that there's definitely a scheme and a shtick to those. There's a lot of interesting tropes with those and stuff. And while some of it has been useful, and I think initially for people trying to figure out how to make YouTubes, those are definitely a good strategy to go. But you're going to reach a point when you start seeing how repetitive and narrow their advice and their approach is, and they just keep giving you the same tips and tricks over and over and over again. But I mean, it's part of the shtick, I guess. Yeah, so this heavier shading really brings out so much in this piece, though. I'm really starting to embrace this higher contrast to my art. It just pops so much and gives my illustrative structure just so much depth and everything. Overall, though, this one took me about like 3 hours to draw. Um, Not as long nearly as the Creature from the Black Lagoon piece. That one took me a little bit more than like 5 hours altogether. And I think I got a better result here, honestly. A big part of that, I think, is that this Swamp Thing is just a cooler character design in general. And I have a closer personal connection to Swamp Thing than I did to the Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is really just a pop culture character to me. But one thing is for sure, though, considering my current process for these videos, is that just 2 a week is going to be the max I can do. Doing, really any more than that is going to throw off the schedule. And if I can't get these things out on a good schedule, then it's just not worth it. Trying to work in another video, it's just not worth it. Ultimately, my plan is to make these videos as I also maintain a tattoo career when I go back home. And so many of these processes will have to change once I go back home. Some for the better, some, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be an adjustment, that's for sure. Something I'm going to really try to focus on solving once I'm facing the issue. While I'm here, though, I'm just making them as I make them. I do have this area in right here of the drawing that does bug me. So a tangent in art is when a line or an element merges with another. It generally causes confusion for like layering, depth, overlaps, form, stuff like that. And this foreground branch merges into that hip thigh area of the Swamp Thing, and by his hand. And while it's not terrible, it doesn't work well visually, and I just couldn't seem to adjust it out with with the line work and stuff where the drawing was. And I can't erase, so I can't really make that kind of edit to the piece. So I do try to fix it here by bumping up the contrast of the two elements, keeping the branch much, much lighter, especially with how dark I knew I was going to do Swamp Thing's crotch and everything. So it doesn't seem so bad. I don't think it's going to stand out to anybody else, but it does bug me. I do also kind of like lose track of his arm, his left arm here, and I really just end up kind of suggesting it and moving on, obscuring it with shadows and stuff. It wasn't something that I felt was super significant to the piece overall, as far as like the viewing. And then a lot of the dark shadowing in this one really reminded me of that Venom piece that I drew a little while back. I burnt out a whole ballpoint pen doing that Venom piece. But all this like heavy layered dark shading and pen shading and stuff is just woof. Um, yeah, it'd been so much easier with like some kind of marker or brush or something for sure. But it's part of the shtick, right? Doing these pen drawings. If you notice, there's a little bit of a jiggle in the camera. And it took me a while to figure this out, but a cord had slipped under my ring light stand. And so while I was drawing, my sketchbook's kind of like lying on top of the stand a little bit. There's a little bit of an overlap. And so while I was drawing, it just gives it this little bit of a wobble and stuff. And it took me it took me a little while to figure out exactly what was going on before I moved that cord. And damn, every video there's a unique channel and some little bit of bullshit to figure out. I do think that I'm getting better at solving these issues that come up, but it seems like every video there's just a little something. But that's pretty much it for this one. Thanks for watching to the end, and if you want to see more stuff like this, give us a like and a subscribe. That would really mean a lot. I do have a new project I'm going to be kicking off here really soon. As I've just finished the sketchbook, I do want to move on to a new thing versus just like all these fan art drawings and stuff. So if you want to see what's coming up next, you're going to have to pay more attention to the channel. And if you want to check out our merch, I got t-shirts, art books, and other stuff here. Check out the links in the description. We do have some really very cool shirts. And thanks for coming by, and I'll catch you later.